Good evening, everybody. My name is Jacob Danger Germain, and we are here to do a Let's Play of Metal Gear Solid 5. Eventually, I will pick the right weapon here. Metal Gear Solid 5 is the, it's like that third prequel or something. Metal Gear Solid. It's kind of complicated. The gist of the story is that this takes place in about 1984. For like pretty obvious reason. Actually, they get to do a bunch of cool, fun 1984 bullshit in this game. But it takes place before the very first Metal Gear, which took place in the 90s, about when it came out, actually. And consequently, so this game is a prequel, but it's also a sequel because they did a couple other prequels. It's a long-ass story. Anywho, this takes place in Afghanistan during the USSR's suppression of the Afghanistan uprising. There's a bunch of story there. I mean, the essentially the forces in Afghanistan decided to vote to be capitalist instead of communist, and the USSR was like, no, you can't do that. And they supported the Communist Party up there. It's a long-ass story. Funny enough, that's actually a pretty controversial thing for me to say within a particular sector of leftists. Goodness Christ. I guess now there's a sandstorm at this very moment in time in which I decided to talk. That's inconvenient as heck. Except it's kind of cool because sandstorms block your people being able to see or hear you. So you can run like a dumbass, and they still won't see or hear you until you get super close, like about this close. And then you can just punch them. And where's the other guy? Shit, where's it? Yeah, there he is. Same deal. Hiya. This is ostensibly a stealth game. You really absolutely do not need to really use stealth, except for like some of the like major missions, or you know, if you want to get like good scores, then you use stealth. Which, to be honest, has actually been a factor in almost all of the Metal Gear games. Like you've always been like you've always had the option to be stealthy or not be stealthy. The difference has always just been that it's easier to be. Oops, I did the wrong thing. I didn't want to take that away. Anyway, you didn't have to be stealthy if you don't want to. You can use grenades. They always get grenades in all these games, and it just kills people. Kill people right and left instead of like waiting for them to pass by and then sneak by them or anything like that. Sandstorms are great. You literally can't see shit unless you use night vision goggles. The story for Metal Gear is pretty complicated, sort of, kinda. I mean, it's just one of those like you know, conspiracy type stories where, you know, everybody's got some kind of deal. So it's one of those things where like I get kind of confused because people are like, oh no, this thing is too complicated or something, and it's like, but then they'll watch fucking like Game of Thrones or something and be like, oh, this Game of Thrones thing makes sense because everybody makes sense, and it's like, you know, that's just as absurd and complicated as this shit is. I don't know. Whatever. The real beauty of Metal Gear games, and including this Metal Gear game, but even previous Metal Gear games, is that the lead designer Hideo Kojima puts a lot of effort into making certain things like work like you would expect them to in video games, which is, I guess, maybe a little bit of a weird thing to point out, but in a lot of games, games are designed around like a certain like set of actions, or that's probably not fair enough. Like they have like a design for what the player is going to do, like a workflow for the player, kind of. Sweet. And you know, within the confines of that workflow, you kind of figure out what you have to do as the player. You know, you gotta kill this person, or you gotta learn this particular skill. And you know, this is kind of how you get along in games, and like each game has its own set of skills, and that's kind of what differentiates them. What Metal Gear Solid does aspire to do is to add in all sorts of like cool new ways that you can do everything. Just yeah, whatever. Meaning that if you know, like for instance, in this game, one of the many weapons which you could equip is a water gun, and it seems kind of dumb because it's like, oh, it's just a water gun, it's not going to kill anybody. Why would I ever use that? You can use it to silently take out all sorts of electronics. You can take out their communication between base to base and prevent reinforcements from coming at you from a base. You can use it to put out lanterns, shit like that. Like it makes a big effort in making games, and I really don't want to say realistic, but like doing things that you would expect to happen in real life through games. And Metal Gear 5 was actually a good example of this. The earlier Metal Gears, you know, they had limitations because of the platforms that they were on. They couldn't necessarily do certain sort of things. They couldn't handle a certain amount of characters on them. Even this game, honestly, it was made as a cross-platform game between the previous generation of consoles and this generation of consoles. And as much as you can get it for the 360 and the PS3. So it's not as fancy as it could be. It could be fancier, but it's still pretty fancy. It's an open world game. This is the first time a Metal Gear game has been open world. Do you think I could hit that? I think I could hit that. Maybe? Ah, damn it. Who saw me? Who saw me? I refuse to believe anybody saw me. Ah. Sheesh. Yeah, I'm actually not that good at stealthy type things because I don't have the patience to handle stealthy type things. We're actually running up to this base because there's a quest to rescue a dude there. Sheesh. I'm just gonna keep doing this all day, I hate it. But yeah, this game's really exceptional in as much as it's another open world game, which has been incredibly common in this generation, to the point that I'm just absolutely frustrated with the whole concept of open world games because there's too much, they're too big, and I gotta collect dumbass bullshit all across the dumbass open worlds. But it's open world, but it's also like a fairly decent. Hey, fuck you, buddy. It's a fairly decent, like, actual stealth type open world game. Like, it makes sense, there's just contiguous areas in which to explore and stealth through. You know, they have various stealth features. I think it's very well done. I'm a big fan of this game. Even if Konami was not, it was a fairly... Man. Dumbass. Goddamn helmets. Yeah, I didn't bring anything good with me either. Oh cool, I did hit him with this somewhere. That's pretty cool. They use legit Afghani shit. Well, I'm not gonna pretend to be cultured enough to know exactly what the hell language that is. But I'm like fairly certain that it's the actual language once they are speaking. God damn it. They definitely have Russian for the Soviet troops. And, whoa. Dutch for the South American troops? Is the other, not South American, what the hell am I saying? African, South African troops. Which is a nice touch. I mean, a lot of this game is really just nice touches. Like, for example, I shot that guy, but I shot him in the legs so that he didn't die, so you can still rescue him. You basically kidnap people, really. You just pop them up onto the Fulton delivery system, which is a real thing that was actually invented in the 60s. It's absolutely completely absurd. You attach a balloon to a person, and then some helicopter flies down with a skyhook, and then picks them up, and then puts them onto the helicopter. It's a real thing the military really invented. It's absurd. It's so anime. But yeah, it's a big factor in like the last 3 of these prequels. So it's cool. I kidnapped that dude. But if you shoot them and they don't die, then you can save them. You can save their lives, and it gives you a little bit of heroism and increases your reputation as an incredible legendary soldier. Big Boss. That's your name. It's absolutely absurd. Everything about this game is absolutely absurd, and that's what makes it so good. Like it's hard to describe. Like, I don't know. I think one of the biggest and most important things in games, and I think it's something that doesn't get talked about nearly enough, at least by fans or people who play a lot of video games, is that like controls. Like you have to be able to. I'm definitely getting that guy. You have to be able to, do what you need to do easily and quickly. Like controls that are like sloppy, they have some kind of control lag, or sometimes the contextual buttons are the worst, because like you sometimes you do something and you're like, oops, that's not exactly what I meant to do. And Metal Gear games have always made a big point about doing really good controls. I'm just gonna go ahead and shoot that guy because I don't need him. Oh, I have a, is that the, shoot. I have the, like, anti-tank rifle, which doesn't have a suppressor on it, so that's not, like, actually gonna really help if I start shooting them. Anyway, and this game makes a big effort into making, like, really good, controls. But beyond that, like, once you have really good controls, you have to have like a really interesting set of actions. And this game does a really good job of like allowing you to do all sorts of things. If you come up with a cool idea, this game generally supports it. Like, I mean, it doesn't support everything, because I mean it can't, because games can't. But it supports a lot more than the average, shooter or even stealth game. I didn't used to like stealth games, and then I played, and I'm out of suppressor for this thing, so I don't know if I could shoot any of these lights. Jeez, I really should have picked a different light. Anyway, yeah, the very first stealth game that I played was the Splinter Cell Chaos Theory, which was actually a lot better than I thought it would be. Like, I got it as part of like this Costco like 3-pack of games, which is the sort of thing that I got when I was younger because it was cheap. And yeah, the thing about Splinter Cell is that it's always had like a whole bunch of like cool tools and stuff to use in between stealth levels, and it made it a little bit kind of linear, in as much as like you had a fairly straightforward level that you went through and you beat a certain number of dudes. It was a good game, honestly. Chaos Theory, not Chaos Theory. Pandora Tomorrow was the one that I played, actually. It was the second one. Chaos Theory was the sequel. They were both pretty well done, actually. The first one wasn't as good, in my opinion, but I played it later. Just a hot tip: if you play video games, like, always play like the sequels or something first, because like the first games usually don't have as much cool shit in them, and something usually kind of sucks about them. I don't know. That's just me. Anyway, yeah, I didn't use like stealth games, but I kind of got used to the whole flow where you just kind of be patient and you work on, where you're going and what you're looking for. And nowadays I kind of like it, because Sorry, it's been like 15 minutes there, so. Especially if you played the level before and if you know what you're doing, you kind of get a sense of like how to be a badass with these sort of games, and it's a fun feeling, like, because you can like anticipate where everybody's gonna be, and whoa, adjust accordingly. Use the right number of gadgets and junk to I don't know, look like a cool dude. That's a lot of fun. I still don't really have the patience to like wait for people as long as I do. Wait, my dog is all the way the fuck over there. What the hell is he doing? Oop, that guy's not tagged. Ooh, that guy's good. Alright. So as part of this game, knock out that guy. That guy right there. Get him. Hell yeah. Yeah, as part of this game, you knock people out to recruit them into your club of mercenaries, essentially. Which is both absurd and absolutely like incredibly entertaining. Like I don't know how to say, like, this game is just so incredibly well done. It is frustrating to me that they never finished it, and Konami kicked out Kojima because he spent way too much money making this incredibly good game. Man, what is wrong with that dog? How do I get up here? I think up here? Yeah? No? Oh. No, don't wake him up. Shit. I want to pick him up. Maybe up here? That's not gonna be enough, no. But yeah, you recruit people to your base to form your own mercenary army, which you use to do mercenary stuff, essentially. So not only do you like not have to kill anybody if you don't want to. Oh good, there's the guy I'm actually looking for. You can also just form an army out of the people that you did not kill, which is also fairly unique within video games. It's just a weird thing to say, but like this game really is singular in its focus. Like all of the Metal Gear games have been really singular in its focus. Like people have made like attempts at doing something similar. Like I mentioned, Splinter Cell was absolutely an attempt to do a similar approach to. Did I hit him? I hope I hit him. It was a similar approach to a stealth game like Metal Gear, but Splinter Cell did not have the same level of focus, and I think it missed some of the details. Like it was a stealth game for like its stealth game's kind of sake, rather than this game, which is a stealth game but is also a soldier game. God damn it, Jesus! I felt like if I run really fast, I'll hit him. But it's also a game about being a legendary badass soldier who rocks, who just happens to use stealth to be a legendary soldier. 1, 2, there you go.
He's coming too. Roger that.
Yeah. This is the guy I want. That's great. Night vision goggles are busted as shit because you can see everything and nobody else can see shit. You know, that guy's wearing night vision goggles. I don't super get like their establishment of how good anybody is at anything. I keep meaning to do some missions without the night vision goggles because they really are kind of like cheating. But God, they're so good. So I just can't even imagine. One of the cool things I mean, honestly, to me, the coolest thing about the Metal Gear series is that, like, it's always been a rumination on what it means to be a soldier. Like, what you give up of yourself and your own desires
Subject is in.
in order to, you know, become, like, someone who is, like, excellent at killing by the orders of their superiors. And, there's a lot of tragedy involved, actually. Oh, there's another guy. There's another guy? Hmm. Don't look at me. Stop looking at me. I think I got the only guy. Oh, maybe there's two of them. Anyway, yeah, like, it's like an incredibly lonely life with, like, a butt ton of fucking trauma, to be a soldier, and this series takes a lot into consideration. Man, seriously? Contact, god damn it. Jesus. And, like, it's such a complicated depiction, because, like, at the same time as it's being a legitimate exploration of what it means to be a soldier and all that sort of stuff, it's also, like, you know, a fairly bombastic and entertaining game about doing all sorts of dumbass soldiery bullshit. You get to be an action hero while also, you know, questioning what the fuck it means to be an action hero. So it's a really, really, I want to say savvy, like, I got them all. It's a really savvy sort of, I don't want to say satire, it's just like, it's a presentation of, like, a point of view. Like, these games are at their heart pacifistic. And that's so hard to, you know, express, to folks just looking at this game, because, oh, did they see me? Really? God damn, that sucks. Alright. Because these are, you know, games about shooting people and killing people, but, like, the point of them has always been, you know, that shooting people and killing people sucks. And it just makes you sad, and like, incapable of interacting with other human beings in a meaningful way. And there's so much in this series that, like, reinforces that point of view. It's always a little weird to me when people just don't get that, really, like, they don't perceive it. And I don't want to say that their interpretations are necessarily invalid, but, like, I don't know, I feel like that's fairly clear about, like, the whole thing being, like, a tragedy. Like, both Snake and Big Boss as characters, you know, are fundamentally broken as people, and especially this game too. Like, it's called Phantom Pain specifically because he's going through tons and tons of pain, because his boss, the regular boss, not the big boss, the regular boss, he ended up having to kill her because of what him, you know, his soldierly duty to do so. And she knew it, and he knew it, and it was an incredibly tragic moment within the series. And he's still dealing with it years later. Like, even so, this series, like, as a Phantom Pain, like, he is dealing with the fact that, like, despite the fact that he tried to divest himself from the particular world which forced him to kill Boss, Cypher as an organization still came after him, because he was still, like, emblematic of that, you know, he was the legendary soldier, so people still wanted his, they view him as a threat and want to take him out, essentially. Even though his only goal in life is to create, like, a world where soldiers can just live in peace. And be soldiers, and, you know, themselves. I hit his hat. Damn. Stupid hat. Come on. His face is right under that. Why am I not hitting it? God damn. Alright, whatever. Okay, I'm just jumping over here. Chris. Yeah, up. Whatever, just do that. So ultimately, yeah, the series is a tragedy, but it's weird and hard to explain, and like especially if you're not somebody who's already played like 4 or 5 of these games. I mean, that's not something that's necessarily going to be immediately apparent to you. And I don't know the degree to which that's intentional. Like, I feel like Kojima could have done a better job of expressing it, but also at the same time, I think it's definitely one of those series where like if you're not invested into it, then you don't really have to be. Like, you can enjoy these games as just a soldier game where you shoot and kill people. That's not a big deal. Yeah, I guess there's just 2 people for this mission. And like it doesn't really necessarily judge you on the basis of that. Like, though you can get more points for killing people later, I mean not killing people, for doing these things non-violently, relatively. I mean, you still knock people out, whatever. You don't have to, and it's cool. Like, there's not a whole lot of like, the game doesn't presume to tell you what to do. But at the same time, I mean, like, I don't know, following the whole theme of the series, is just, you know, I don't know. I have a lot of like aesthetic feelings about this game. It's really tough because like this is definitely not a sort of series where you can find people who don't play video games a lot to play, and honestly most of the people who play video games are dumb and bullshit and like, holy crap. God, I hate gamers. Gamers are the worst fucking people I've ever like had the misfortune of sharing anything with. Like, I get mad and don't tell anybody I ever play video games because I don't want to be associated with anybody who plays video games because they're terrible fucking people. Like, at a very basic level. Like, I don't care how offensive this may end up sounding or whatever, but yo, we gotta clean the fucking house, dude. The gamers are fucking terrible. And on some, oh man. But consequently, you know, this very incredibly well done piece of work will not get appreciated by nearly enough people because it exists within a medium that is suffused with man children and like fucking Nazis. It's depressing. Anyway,
He's coming too. Roger that.
on a lighter night, yeah, video games.
Subject on board. Leave the rest to us.
Extraction arrived at mother base. Enemy presence detected.
Sheesh. I gotta sneak out of here. I kinda hate doing missions up here because there's no helicopter point. You can't get picked up like quickly. You have to actually sneak out of the castle. It's a castle, actually. Jesus Christ. Yo, dog, go kill him.
Stay.
Don't stay. Kill him. Damn it.
Attack.
Hey, stop shooting my dog, you asshole. Who saw me? Christ. God damn it. Alright, I'm tired of like not killing people. And that's, I mean, I think that's the beauty of the series, is that, like, yeah, or at least this game anyway, is that like I could, you know, make the effort to try to knock people out and not kill them, or I could, you know, actually kill them, and it would go a lot easier for me. Personally, you have to make like an actual moral choice whether or not you want to kill people or you want to, you know, knock them out and, you know, capture them, essentially. Just take them to your base, save their lives, get them out of their terrible army and put them into your much better army. I don't know.
Subject on board. Leave the rest to us.
I'm just gonna run away now. Goodbye, everyone. actually died again because it's kind of hard to play this game while I'm pretty drunk to treat it with the seriousness which it takes. God damn, Jesus Christ, I just started. He's not wearing a hat. That guy is...
Analysis complete.
One of the things that gets me though is that like one of the themes of this game, in terms of everyone being more or less cool, is sort of undermined by the fact that did I not hit him in a... Oh, I hit him in the vest, didn't I? Let's try this one more time. God damn it, why do all you assholes have helmets? I hate it. There you go. One of the things that's kind of undermined by the fact that like each of these soldiers has their own statistics, so the value of these soldiers can in fact be like determined by, you know, whether or not they're good at anything. And ultimately you're gonna get kind of eujaxy and being like, oh well, you actually kind of suck, so I'm cool with shooting you to death because you wouldn't be good enough to be in my damn army. Hey, that guy was not good enough to be in my army. Hey, he's dead. Which I think is unfortunate, but I'm like, maybe it's actually, there's a point to it. Like, maybe you're supposed to be thinking about that. But I don't know how much credit to exactly give Kajima about that particular issue. Mostly because, like, you know, I'm still not sure exactly about, you know, what I should be thinking about it. Just as a general point of statement, whoa. A lot of what people consider to be disparities in their skills is actually a disparity in education or a disparity in wealth. There is some degree in which human beings are, you know, differentiated genetically in some aspects, but the differences are not nearly as profound when people have the same sort of wealth or essentially the educational background. Like, it's a sort of issue where, like, people who have access to better education are smarter because they had access to that better education, not because they are just genetically smarter or you know, they actually have any sort of meaningful physical differences within their brain capacities or anything like that. The whole notion that people can be smarter or dumber than each other is kind of a myth that is perpetuated for essentially nefarious reasons. Just throwing that out. I mean, I don't know, most people who listen to this probably get what I'm saying, but dogs. I like wild dingoes. They're wolves. I hate it. And they'll attack you if you get too close to them. I'm pretty sure I hit the guy at least once. Come on. Ah, Christ's sakes. Dumbass. There we go. Among other things, you know, besides being able to kidnap people, you can kidnap all the other animals in this game, and you remove them to a wildlife refuge to take them outside of the war zones once you are occupying. I mean, you are in war zones that are not just wars against you, they're like wars against other people. Like here it's Russia versus Afghanistan, and in the Southern Africa one it's South Africa versus whichever. It's a little confusing actually. I think there's like 3 different people down there, but they're like various communist uprisings versus their shitty capitalist governments. and mercenaries. A lot of mercenaries are involved. I still haven't gotten all the animals in this game, like, mostly because I don't go through the effort of like finding shooting birds. I'm gonna give this one a shot though, cause why not? I'm on video. Oh god. Hey. It always kills me that they live through those things, cause usually birds would die when they did shit. Oh my god. Would I have to jump across the thing to get there? As a fun fact, if you play this game, the sprinting is unlimited. You never actually get tired from sprinting, which actually gets a little absurd. I just kind of, do I gotta jump down here? Can I jump down here? I didn't think so. Jesus. Ugh. Anyway, I'm sleepy, and I'm gonna pass out in a hot minute, so, that's it. That's just the end of this Let's Play. Thanks for listening. Goodbye, my friends. I love you all.